Okay, we have created a program so that whenever we click on the button, generate expressions, we'll get some text files with our expressions like so. But now we want to give the user possibility to add his own values into it, because at the moment we are using some predefined values for minimum value and the maximum value of those numbers, and we are using 10 expressions. That 10 will be printed all the time, but maybe somebody wants to decide himself if he wants 10 or 20 or so. So we want to get these 3 values to be specified by the user. And first of all, I thought that we might create some input field so that somebody can just type it, but then I thought that it's not a good idea. I think that the sliders will be a better option. So let's create it. Right click on the canvas, UI, and then slider. And as you can see, this is pretty small, so let's just expand it with this rect tool. I will make it a bit smaller, and we have to just sign them to know what kind of slider is it. I will add text, expand it as well, put it on the top, maybe make it the same length, increase the font size, and I will call it the min value. Let me see how it looks like, and this is fine. I will leave it as it is, maybe a bit smaller. Let's duplicate both of them, just Ctrl D, and let me just change the name of it so it's slider min, and it will text. We are not going to do anything with text, so I will not bother to change name of it. I will call it slider max, and let me just move it down to the middle somewhere here, and we need to duplicate one more time and slide it down as well, like so, and we need to change the name of it, and will be slider of quantity, how many expressions we are going to make. So we need to change those values. This will be max value, and the last one will be quantity. Okay, let's save it. Let me see how does it look like, and this is looking pretty good. So now we have to specify some min and max value for those sliders. Let's click on the first slider, and let me think what's the range of the min value should be really, and let's specify it so it's from 1 to, I don't know, maybe to 100. So the minimum value will be between those numbers, and we want whole numbers. Okay, save it and go to the other slider, and here we will use the max value. I think we might just put 10, for example, to 1000. And later on we would have to check if the min value is less than the max value, but you will see it later. And the quantity, how many expressions we want to have. And let's start from 1, but I don't think anybody would like to have only one expression really. So maybe let's start from the 5 and go up to the, I don't know, 30. Let's do 30, and the whole numbers as well. I will save it, and yes, we can move into the script. Here let's go to the top, and we have to make the reference to those sliders. But in order to do it, because the slider sits in UI, we need to add the library. So using Unity Engine, and now we're using UI. Once we have it, we can make the reference. So let's make a serialized field, and this will be of type slider. So let's call the first one slider min, then slider max, and slider quantity. Of course, there are plenty of ways to assign those values to some variables. I think I will create 3 variables, global variables, so that we will just assign those values to those variables. So they will be of type integer. So I call int, and it will be min, max, and quantity, like so. I will save it, and now we have to create some method that will assign those values to these variables. So let's do it in here. It will be of type void because it won't return anything. I will call it get input because we are going to get the input from the user. And here min equals slider min and the value. Even though that we specified in here that it should be the whole numbers, it still will return the type of float. So we have to cast it to int. In order to do it, we can just type int in front of it. So once it's done, let's move further to other variables. Do the same. We have to cast it as well. And we have to cast the slider max value. And the last one will be exactly the same. So quantity equals int and slider quantity and value. So we've got it done, and when we want to call it, we want to call it the first thing when the button will be pressed. So actually we want to call it in here. So we will get some input, but we have to substitute all of those values that we used before. Here we've got the quantity, and it will be specified by this method. So we don't really have to do it in here anymore. We can leave this as it is because now it will take the value from the global variable quantity. So it's totally fine to leave it here. Here will be fine as well, but we need to change this get random number, this one and this one, because we typed 1 and 20 and 10, 100 in here, but we want to change this method really, because now we'll get this min and max from the user. So I will get rid of these arguments like so. We'll get an error for now, but it doesn't matter. We're going to change this one as well because it will be substituted with this min and max. And that should work really, or maybe we'll not use this anymore. So we are getting input from the user, we are passing into these variables, and then we are going to create some expressions. So this is looking good. Let us see whether it is working or not. Let me just click on File Manager to see if we attach those elements to our script, and we didn't, so we have to do it. Slider min should go there, slider max there, and slider quantity in here. So let's save it. I will just delete this file. I will save it and press play. So now before we click, let's just specify some values, and probably it would be a good idea just to see some, to have a text file so that it will be showing what value are we changing, but we'll do it in a moment. And quantity, so let's generate expressions and just refresh it and see. Oh, we've got quite a big numbers now, but this is because we don't see this min and max value, and this is not really good. So in order to change it, we have to add some text fields next to the slider and just see what value it's going to display. So let's do it. I will just click on the canvas, choose UI and text. Let's expand it a little bit to fit it the size of the slider. Increase the font size, move it to the middle. I will put like 2 zeros or maybe 3 because we might have 1,000 as well. 999 will be the max value as I remember. And let me see it. Okay, that should be fine. I will just call it text min. So text min. Now I will duplicate it, slide it down, and I call it text max. I duplicate one more time and slide it down. I'll call it text quantity. So now we have to make a reference to those numbers. So let's go back into the script and make another serialized field, and it will be of type text. And now let's call it txt_min. Maybe I will just keep the same convention as I used above, txt_max and txt_quantity. And now once we've got this text, we want to use update method to display those numbers straight away. There are plenty of ways of doing it. We can actually just click on the slider and add some onValueChanged method, but I will do it in the update this time. So let's just add update, and in here we want to check the value, the slider min value, max and quantity. So let's do it. txt_min text will be equal to slider min value, and we have to change it to string like so. I will just save it and let's have a look whether it is working or not. So we've done the min value for now. Let's go back in here and press play. And of course it's not going to work because I didn't assign my text fields. So click on the file manager and let's drag and drop min, max and the quantity. Save it and press play. And now when we are going to change the min value, it's going to change. So this is working perfectly fine. So now we can proceed and do these changes for other text fields. So now it's time to do txt_max, and now we are using slider max value and we have to change it to string. And as the last one, we are using txt_quantity and the field text of it, and we are using slider quantity value of it, and we are changing it to string because all the values that are being displayed or taken are of value string. So this is looking pretty good. Let me go back to Unity and I press play, see if this is working. Let's put minimum value to 15, max to maybe, as you can see, because we've put quite a big max value, it's increasing by 3, which is not good. I don't like it. So probably we have to drop our min and max value. So this is all working, but we have to change it. So I will click on the slider min and choose the max value to, I don't know, maybe just 20. And the slider max, let's make it like 200 maybe. So now if we change max value, let me see. Okay, this is working. We can increase by 1. So I'm pretty satisfied with it. And the quantity, it's working fine as well. So this is how it's going to be. I'll save it. I will remove the old file and I'll press play. So now we want to get some expressions with the numbers from 5 to maybe 20. So let's put 20. And we want to get 10 of, or maybe 20 of those expressions on one page. Generate, close it, and let's refresh and let's open. And as you can see, we've got all the values from 5 to 20. And there are 20 of them, which is totally fine. Perfect. So once we are ready to build this project, we need to change our path. So I will delete it or comment it out and change the path so that only the file name stays, so that our file will be placed in the same spot where the application is. So let's just build this app. I will just go to my folder and remove everything from there. And I will click File, Build Settings. I will click Build and use the math folder, select folder, and just wait for a couple of seconds. Once it's done, we will open it. So we've got our joke maker. We've got this name because this is the name that is used in my build settings. I will open it to show you that. So this is a product name and it's still stays the same from one of the tutorial I made before, so you should just change it. Okay, let me move our software to this window. I will just resize it a little bit so it's a bit smaller. And now we will set some min value to 10, max value to 100, and quantity to 10. Generate expressions. So now if I go to this folder, open the math, you can see that we've got those values from 10 to 100. And this is working. The last bit probably would be that I really forgot about it at the moment, is to check if the min value is less than the max value. So maybe let's do it quickly. We might, some display just error to the user if the min value is bigger than the max value, because that wouldn't make sense. But maybe we might make some trick. So whenever the min value will be bigger than the max value, we just will swap them and it will be the same. So the min value will become max value and otherwise. That would be pretty smart idea, I would say. So let's do it. We can do it in the getInput method. So here we will get these values, and at the end we will just use conditional statement and say if min value is bigger than max, then we want to do? We want to make a min max and max min. We have to create some temporary variable. So let's create int temp max min and assign min to it. And then we want to create temp max and assign max to it. So once we have these temporary variables, we can swap our min and max variables. So now min variable will be the same as temporary max, and the max value will be equal to temporary min. We probably should use some other conditional statement to check if min equals max, because if it does, then probably we want to increase the max value. I just want to avoid the situation that, we get some errors. So let's add else if statement, and here we will check if min equals to max, and if it does, then we want to increase max by 2, let's say. So max will be plus equals to 2. We will increase this value by 2. And I think that this should work really. Let's save it, and I will just change my path once again. Go back to Unity and let's check it. So I will make min value bigger than the max value. So minimum value is 10 and max is 1, which is crazy. This is something ridiculous, but let's create it and see what happens. So now it should be swapped, and the minimum value should be 1 and maximum should be 10. So it should be all working. And as you can see, it is working, it is fine, and we have 5 of them. So now let's just do this other trial where our values are the same. Let's generate like 10 of them and generate expressions. So now the max value should go to 7, but because 7 is not included, it should be from 5 to 6, I believe. So refresh it and go to math, and yes, it is. As you can see, all the expressions are from 5 to 6. So congratulations, you've made it. Our projects are getting more and more interesting, and they're quite useful, I would say. So well done.